Grim darkness of the 41st millennium is defined by perpetual war, where hope is a flickering candle against the encroaching tide of despair. At the heart of this conflict lies the legacy of the Horus Heresy, a brutal civil war that shattered the imperium of man and turned demigod Primarchs against each other. But what if the unthinkable happened? What if somehow the traitor Primarchs were redeemed and returned to the Emperor's light? Exploring this hypothetical scenario reveals a complex web of possibilities, fraught with challenges and offering a glimmer of potential for a vastly different future. Greetings all, I'm your guide the Archivist. Today I will dive into an overview of if the traitor Primarchs became loyal again. Before we begin, please make sure to like the like and subscribe waypoints down below, so that more people can learn from the archives. The first and most significant hurdle is the sheer depth of their corruption. These beings, once beacons of loyalty and strategic brilliance, embraced chaos in its most insidious forms. Their souls are stained with the blood of untold billions, from loyal Imperial citizens to their own Space Marine legions. Each traitor Primarch has been twisted by a specific Chaos God. Magnus the Red is enslaved by Tzeentch's machinations, his pursuit of knowledge perverted into a tool of manipulation. Mortarion embodies Nurgle's pestilence, spreading disease and despair. Fulgrim is a puppet of Slaanesh, consumed by hedonism and excess. Angron is a bloodthirsty berserker, forever bound to Khorne's rage. Perturabo is filled with bitterness and resentment, leading to his dark plans of terror. Lorgar is consumed by religious zealotry and fanaticism, and Khor Pharaon has been there nearly every step of the way, leading Lorgar astray. To undo this corruption would require a miracle of unimaginable proportions, potentially involving the direct intervention of the Emperor himself, or some other power beyond mortal comprehension. The details of this intervention would be crucial. The traitor legions, even after 10,000 years, remain fiercely loyal to their Primarchs, warped and twisted as they may be. Convincing these warbands to abandon their allegiance to chaos and embrace the Imperium would be a monumental task. Many have descended into utter barbarity, losing all semblance of their original purpose. The remnants of the World Eaters, for instance, are little more than blood-crazed killers, their minds consumed by the butcher's nails. How could such broken souls be reintegrated into a structured society? Even if the traitor Primarchs were somehow cleansed of Chaos's influence, the Imperium would likely meet them with extreme suspicion and hostility. Generations have been raised on tales of their treachery, viewing them as the ultimate enemies of mankind. The High Lords of Terror, the Inquisition, and the countless Imperial citizens who lost loved ones during the heresy would demand retribution, not reconciliation. Would the Imperium be willing to trust those who nearly brought it to its knees? Despite these immense challenges, imagining scenarios where the traitor Primarchs return to the fold offers fascinating possibilities. Perhaps the most plausible scenario involves the direct intervention of the Emperor. His psychic power is beyond comprehension, and it's conceivable that he could exert his will to sever the Primarch's traitor. Primarch's ties to chaos. This could manifest in various ways, from a sudden psychic shockwave that purges their souls, to a gradual process of rehabilitation guided by his presence in the warp. The details of how the Emperor achieves this is critical. Does he fully restore them to their pre-heresy selves, or are they forever marked by their experiences? A common trope in fiction is the idea of uniting against a common enemy. If a threat emerged that dwarfed even the horrors of chaos, perhaps a resurgent Necron empire, a Tyranid hive fleet of unprecedented size, or an alien force from beyond the galaxy, the Imperium might be forced to seek alliances with unlikely allies, including the redeemed traitor Primarchs. This scenario would require a pragmatic approach, setting aside past grievances for the sake of survival. It's possible that not all the traitor Primarchs could be redeemed, but perhaps one or two might find a path back to the light. This can involve a profound personal crisis that forces them to confront the error of their ways, or perhaps a chance encounter with the force of good that reignites their lost humanity. A single redeemed Primarch could become a powerful symbol of hope, inspiring others to break free from Chaos's grasp. The details of their individual journeys would be key to their acceptance. If even a handful of traitor Primarchs were to return to the Imperium, the impact would be seismic. The return of Primarchs, even those who have been tainted by chaos, would be a massive boon to the Imperium's military strength. Their strategic brilliance, tactical acumen, and sheer combat prowess is unmatched. They could lead Imperial forces to victory against seemingly insurmountable odds, reclaiming lost worlds and pushing back the tide of chaos. The arrival of the Primarchs would inevitably destabilize the existing power structure of the Imperium. The High Lords of Terror would be forced to contend with these demigod figures, potentially leading to political infighting and power struggles. The Inquisition, wary of any potential for corruption, would likely keep a close watch on the returned Primarchs. The return of the Primarchs could also spark a spiritual reawakening within the Imperium. Their presence could inspire renewed faith in the Emperor and a sense of hope for the brighter future. However, it could also lead to religious schisms, as differing fractions debate the nature of their redemption and their place in the Emperor's grand design. One of the most challenging aspects would be the reintegration of the traitor legions. Would they be allowed to reform their original legion, or would they be broken up and dispersed among the other chapters? How would the Imperium ensure their continued loyalty and prevent them from falling back to chaos? This would require careful monitoring, rigorous training, and perhaps even establishment of new safeguards to prevent future betrayal. The details of this process would be vital. The prospect of the traitor Primarchs returning to the Imperium fold is deeply complex and fraught with peril. While it offers the potential for a vastly strengthened Imperium and a glimmer of hope in the grim darkness of the 41st millennium, it also carries the risk of further instability, political infighting, and ever-renewed betrayal. The success of such a scenario would depend on a confluence of factors: the extent of their redemption, the willingness of the Imperium to accept them, and the leadership they provide in the face of overwhelming odds. 41st millennium is a universe defined by a suffering and endless war, and even in the darkest of times, the possibility of redemption, however improbable, remains a powerful force. The details of how that redemption unfolds would determine the fate of the Imperium and perhaps the galaxy itself. And so I have now covered the content for this video, but if there's anything that has been missed, please share them in the comments down below. If you enjoyed this content, please remember to like the like and subscribe waypoints down below. In the grim dark of the far future, there is only war.